The chill December air hung heavy over Windsor Castle, a stark contrast to the firestorm brewing within its ancient walls. For years, the House of Windsor had weathered storms, scandals, and seismic shifts in public opinion. But this felt different. This wasn't a fleeting crisis. It was a reckoning, a moment where the very foundation of the monarchy seemed to tremble. The source? Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, and the seemingly endless controversies that followed her every move. But the real story isn't just about Meghan. It's about Prince William, the heir to the throne, and the agonizing choices he was forced to make to protect the institution he was born to serve. William, a man defined by his measured demeanor and unwavering commitment to duty, had reached his breaking point. He had always been the steady hand, the calm in the storm, a stark contrast to the more impulsive nature of his younger brother, Harry. But the relentless barrage of criticism, the carefully orchestrated media attacks, and the constant drama surrounding Meghan had eroded his patience, leaving him with a stark realization: silence was no longer an option. The turning point, many believe, came with the coordinated attacks against his wife Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Catherine, a woman of unwavering grace and dedication, had become a target, her initiatives and her character relentlessly undermined by a shadowy network of online detractors. These weren't random acts of malice, they were calculated, strategic, and chillingly effective. Catherine, methodical as ever, documented the attacks, tracing them back to a network of pro-Sussex supporters. The revelation hit William like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just a family feud, it was an assault on the future Queen of England and, by extension, the monarchy itself. Imagine William pacing the hallowed halls of Kensington Palace, the weight of his future responsibilities pressing down on him. He saw the toll the constant drama was taking on Catherine, the strain etched on her face despite her unwavering poise. He witnessed his father, King Charles, struggling to navigate the treacherous water, torn between his love for his son Harry and his duty to the crown. The monarchy was teetering on the brink, its reputation tarnished, its stability threatened. The pressure was immense. William knew he had to act, but how? He had always been taught to endure, to absorb criticism, to protect the institution at all costs. Silence had been his shield, patience his weapon. But now, he realized that silence had become a weapon in the hands of his adversaries. Every carefully worded statement, every attempt at reconciliation had been twisted and manipulated, fueling the flames of controversy. He needed to draw a line, a clear and unambiguous boundary that would send a message to the world. Enough was enough. But doing so would mean breaking with tradition, abandoning the carefully cultivated image of royal restraint, and potentially alienating his own brother. It was a decision that would define his reign, a gamble that could either save the monarchy or shatter it beyond repair. The weight of that decision rested squarely on his shoulders. The internal conflict must have been agonizing. William, a man who valued family above all else, was being forced to choose between his brother and the institution he was sworn to protect. The bond between the two princes, forged in the crucible of their mother's tragic death, was now strained to the breaking point. The once inseparable brothers were now locked in a silent battle, their relationship poisoned by years of resentment, accusations, and betrayal. William knew that whatever decision he made, there would be casualties. But he also knew that inaction was not an option. The monarchy was at stake, and he was the only one who could save it. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, a woman of steel and unwavering loyalty, stepped into the fray. She had seen it all, weathered every storm, and understood the brutal realities of royal life better than anyone. "You cannot protect everyone," she told William, her voice firm, her gaze unwavering. "At some point, you choose the institution or the individual, creating instability." It was a harsh truth, delivered with surgical precision, cutting through the fog of sentimentality and forcing William to confront the unpalatable reality. There was no middle ground, no easy way out. The monarchy's survival demanded sacrifice. William had sought a compromise, a way to shield his family while preserving the crown, and shattered that illusion, reminding him that institutions survive by enforcing boundaries. Sentiment, loyalty, and personal preference could not outweigh structural necessity. Her words resonated deep, solidifying William's resolve. Leadership demanded decisiveness, and protection could not be indiscriminate. He finally understood that his father's hope for reconciliation, while admirable, had only fueled the chaos. Compassion could not replace accountability. Inside the walls of Windsor Castle, a tense meeting unfolded. William, Charles, Anne, and Catherine gathered in a private study, the air thick with anticipation. William, carrying a single folder containing the fateful statement, arrived early, his face etched with determination. Charles, visibly weary from the relentless pressure, entered next, followed by Anne, her presence radiating strength. Catherine, ever composed, completed the somber tableau. William opened the meeting with a stark declaration. This decision will be permanent. Silence descended upon the room, broken only by the crackling of the fire in the hearth. The statement was read aloud, slowly and deliberately, each word carefully measured, each sentence carrying the weight of finality. There will be no pathway for return. 19 words that would change everything. Catherine was the first to speak, her voice calm and steady. "It's clear," she said. "It doesn't attack. It states reality." Her words affirmed that the statement was not driven by vengeance, but by a commitment to institutional clarity. Charles hesitated, the gravity of the moment etched on his face. But after a long pause, he nodded. "You have my support," he said, not because he desired this outcome, but because he trusted his son's judgment. He knew that William was acting in the best interests of the monarchy, even if it meant causing pain to his own family. At 7:48 a.m. the next morning, the statement was released to the world. Headlines exploded, social media erupted, and the monarchy braced itself for the fallout. A decisive chapter had closed, and the institution stepped forward with renewed clarity and control. Across the Atlantic, in the sun-drenched hills of California, Harry's phone vibrated in the darkness. He reached for it, expecting routine messages. Instead, he found a statement that would irrevocably alter his life. He read the words in silence, the weight of their meaning crushing him. This wasn't palace spin or anonymous authority. This was his brother, Prince William, speaking directly and finalizing a decision that left no room for interpretation. Sources say something inside Harry broke at that moment. The bond between the brothers, already frayed, snapped completely. He had lost not only his position within the royal family, but also the unwavering support of his brother. Meghan's reaction was quieter, more controlled, but even her composure couldn't mask the significance of the moment. The statement had eliminated the ambiguity that had been her ally for so long. There were no loopholes, no room for negotiation. William's words had closed the door publicly and permanently. For decades, Meghan had navigated the complexities of royal life with a shrewd understanding of narrative control. She could twist, reinterpret, and leverage ambiguity to her advantage, but that buffer was gone. The crown had spoken, and its decision was final. Freedom, yes, but with it came the weight of complete independence. Every choice, every opportunity, every consequence now rested solely on Meghan and her immediate network. The narrative was hers, but the platform was gone. And for the monarchy, the path forward was now unmistakably defined. There was no ambiguity, there was no negotiation. The crown had spoken, and history would remember it. This wasn't revenge. It was resolution. William chose certainty over hope, protection over sentiment, and the institution over illusion. The decision marks a defining moment, a leader asserting that clarity, decisiveness, and boundaries are non-negotiable, even when personal relationships complicate matters. The ethics, the timing, the interpersonal fallout, all would be dissected and debated for years to come. But one thing was undeniable. Prince William ended the longest unresolved chapter in modern royal history. The monarchy, long shadowed by speculation and internal tension, now moved forward unambiguous. William's reign will be defined by this moment. A template of decisiveness signaling to allies, adversaries, and the public alike that the crown prioritizes stability over convenience, principle over sentiment, and clarity over ambiguity. It demonstrates that leadership sometimes requires hard lines and public resolution, even when family is involved. From that day forward, the monarchy stopped waiting and started moving. Decisions would be made with intention, narratives would be controlled, and speculation would no longer hold sway. The era of indefinite ambiguity ended, and a new chapter of assertive, forward-looking monarchy began. One where William's legacy would be measured by his ability to act decisively in moments of unprecedented challenge. But what of Harry and Meghan? Stripped of their royal platform, they were now free to forge their own path, unburdened by the constraints of tradition and protocol. But freedom comes at a price. They would have to build their own empire, their own brand, without the support of the institution that had defined them for so long. Could they succeed? Could they maintain their relevance in a world obsessed with royalty when they were no longer part of the inner circle? The answer, it seemed, lay in their ability to adapt, to innovate, and to connect with a new generation of followers. They had already proven their ability to command attention, to generate headlines, and to build a global brand. But now, they would have to do it on their own terms, without the safety net of the royal family. The stakes were high. Their reputation, their legacy, and their financial future all depended on their ability to navigate this new reality. They had already weathered storms of criticism and controversy, but this was different. This was a test of their resilience, their creativity, and their ability to build a lasting legacy outside the confines of the monarchy. And what of the future? Could the rift between the brothers ever be healed? Could Harry and William ever find a way to reconcile, to bridge the divide that had grown so wide? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, the monarchy had changed forever, and the world would be watching to see what came next. The drama, it seemed, was far from over. This was merely the end of the beginning.